Early this year, a pair of hunters were shot on the border in Texas. And then the plot thickens because there's some twists and turns that make this story a little bit more interesting than just some people getting shot, which by itself is actually pretty damn interesting. Police were responding to a call about a shooting on a ranch near Candelaria and found one person, Daugherty, and another man in a hunting party, Edwin Roberts, with gunshot wounds. The men were part of a group of hunters and told authorities they were attacked by people who had illegally crossed the nearby border and tried to steal an RV some of the hunters were using. So here we have a couple of people doing a time-honored tradition of Americans, which is outgoing hunting, and they were beset by these vandals crossing the border who shot them and attempted to steal their RV. So that's just like, I am shocked that that wasn't mentioned in Donald Trump's recent rally as an act of terror against the American population.
It probably will be.
Give it time. It probably will be after the finish of this video. So authorities sprang into action. 30 law enforcement officials searched the perimeter of the ranch where the hunters were staying, but they didn't find signs of people approaching the camp that night, and investigators found no evidence of, quote, cross-border violence. In fact, in the end, investigators determined that guides Walker Daugherty and Michael Bryant in fact shot at one another by accident, striking Daugherty and hunter Edwin Roberts in the process. The two were indicted for third-degree felonies last Wednesday. And so it turns out that they did what unfortunately has happened in the history of hunting several times. You go off, you don't know exactly where you're shooting, perhaps it's a bit dark, and you shoot each other. And so they had an incident of friendly fire, but that's embarrassing to admit to, so instead they conjure up these mythical, stealthy, shadowy, invisible immigrants and blame the whole thing on them, and they throw a bit of Grand Theft Auto on top of it as well.
Okay, so the story should have been fishy to authorities from the beginning, and maybe authorities caught on from the very beginning, which is why they investigated it and swiftly found that, no, that it wasn't an undocumented immigrant. But, like, think about it for a second. So if someone is violently attacking you, do you, like, have a conversation with them in the middle of all that to, like, ask them about their immigration status or how they got into the country, right? Like, think about how crazy that is. How do you know they're undocumented immigrants? How do you know that they're in there illegally? Like, did you just assume, right? So,
maybe they just assumed, I don't know.
But it's just absurd from the get-go.
Yeah.
But think about it. If we have a government now that fearmongers about immigrants and makes stories up about them constantly, why wouldn't these hunters who caught themselves in a little bit of trouble make up stories to get away with whatever they did? By the way, I don't even think that they would face any real consequences if they just went to the authorities or to the hospital and said, we accidentally shot each other.
It's embarrassing.
Yeah, it's embarrassing, but you know what's even more embarrassing? Making up lies about undocumented immigrants.
Yeah.
Okay? Again, you don't stop and have a conversation with someone and ask them about their immigration status as they're attacking you.
I wonder, though, if they will end up being embarrassed, because I have a feeling that at some point the president will call the police findings fake news. But here's the thing. As you pointed out, this isn't a story about just a couple of hunters. That would be interesting and kind of silly and unfortunate, and it sucks that they're playing on the fears and the paranoia and xenophobia of the people in that region, knowing that they can probably get away with it. But that it's that government officials leap on this sort of thing, and they love that. Commentators and those in government love instances like this, and this isn't hypothetical. We have politicians who already have jumped on this. So we have one of the administrators in charge of agriculture in Texas posted, we're just going to show you a picture here of a Facebook post about this, and they're talking about the hunters who were shot, and this is before we found out that they'd been lying. This is from January, shortly thereafter. And I want to read you a section of it in how they love to frame these sorts of incidents. The aliens were ambushing the RV that Walker and his wife, that's not a full sentence, but that's what he wrote. He was shot while trying to protect his hunters from the attack. Walker is a man of God and is now a hero. This is why we need the wall and to secure our borders. Anyone who says that the people illegally crossing into our country are just there seeking a better future for their families simply do not understand what is happening on our borders. There are violent criminals and members of drug cartels coming in, and it must put a stop to it before we have many more Walker Daughertys.
So there are an estimated 11 million undocumented immigrants in the United States. And so
most of them shoot hunters.
So all of them are violent, or most of them are violent, which is why crime rates in the United States have consistently gone down over the last decade, right? That doesn't make any sense. Look, that's the bigger picture. That's based on real statistics, right? 11 million undocumented immigrants in the country. Crime has consistently gone down every year. There's been, I think there was a spike briefly recently, but it continued dipping after that.
Yeah, there's individual cities that will have rises in a crime rate.
So I just want to give you all the information. So that's the real picture if you're looking at the bigger picture, the macro scale. But this is a little bit of anecdotal evidence that I found interesting, and it never really resonated or I never really realized it until I stopped and thought about it.
Yeah.
So look, I work in news, I share my opinions, I'm a public figure, so of course I'm going to get attacked. That's just par for the course. But I do find it interesting that the vast majority of rape threats, doxing, and abuse that I deal with online are from white males, right? I'm not saying, and that's not to paint a bleak picture of all white males, obviously, but it's just funny because these are the people who disagree with my viewpoints regarding minorities, and then these are also the same people who consistently attack me in the most violent fashion imaginable on the internet.
Well, they'll say that you don't understand the threat that Muslim immigrants pose to women in terms of crime and rape.
Right.
And so you should be murdered or raped.
Exactly, yeah.
And this is sort of silly, but this happens all the time.
All the time.
And that fits into their little heads.
And here's the thing, right? I'm an adult who understands nuance, and so I don't look at those threats and think, white men, they're dangerous. All white men are dangerous. I need to stay away from white men. No, I realize that these are a select few who are obviously very angry at my viewpoints, and so they lash out by saying these crazy, ridiculous things. But
now, Sid Miller, the guy, the Texas Department of Commissioner of Agriculture, who wrote that, and maybe he's just trying to stir up interest in some sort of other statewide run or something. He deleted the post, but is he going to apologize for it? Is he going to modulate his rhetoric in the future, saying like, "How dare you, who just think they're coming here for a better life? You don't understand what's really happening at the border." No, Sid Miller, you don't understand what's happening at the border because you don't even pay attention to whether you're being lied to. And we've had incidents in the past where there was a spate of anti-Muslim attacks after the election. And then it turned out that one of those women had lied about her hijab being set on fire or something like that. We've had instances of anti-LGBT violence, where I remember a case in which a lesbian had made up that she was attacked. These are outliers in those two cases, and yet, because we don't like to just accept something because it confirms the narrative that we want, after seeing those stories, it makes us question future events that seem too good to be true. Will this do the same in the case of the Hunters for conservatives who hate undocumented immigrants, consider them to all be criminals? I doubt it, but I wish that it would.
Support independent media and get the whole Young Turks 2-hour show and other network shows all ad-free. TYTnetwork.com/join. Come join us today.